And welcome to the State of Scottish Football. It's Thursday evening. We're back. It's been a very long close season, Greg. Normally in pre-season, Greg, you'd put on a stone and a half, but you've been to the gym. I've been to the gym. I've tried to get a role with sports team, but this is not materialised. But State of Scottish Football is the perfect alternative. And I'm here, Dave Smith, to my right, honourable gentleman, Greg Playfair. Greg, how are we?
Not too bad. I'm glad you said honourable for a second. I thought you said horrible, gentlemen. But no, it's good to be back on with the Prince of Portsoy. I've in the close season I have made my own move. I've moved from the Lothians over to the promised land of Fife. So rather than being the Duke of Dalkeith, I'm now the Dingle and Dunfermline.
Fantastic. Plenty to get over tonight. We'll try and focus on all the clubs as we can. We've obviously got an hour, so we need to be pretty wary of that. But first and foremost, Greg, disappointment for Rangers in Europe on Tuesday evening, losing to Union Galloys. It was never going to be an easy game by any stretch of imagination for Rangers. I think a lot of people were expecting a lot better from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's side.
Yeah, I think especially when you look at how Rangers ended the season in terms of European football, obviously getting to the final, coming undone in terms of penalties against Frankfurt. But I mean, so obviously there's kind of high expectation going in. They started for me kind of the summer signings quite slowly. I think Celtic obviously done the business nice and early, but you could see that it was kind of assembling a good squad. So quite rightly, I think supporters, especially given what Rangers had done 3 months previously, were going in with high expectations and high hopes. But as you know, in European football, there's no such thing as an easy game. USG, as I'll call them because we love an acronym, they were. They were second in the Belgian league, so they're a good side. I think obviously they've came up from the second tier in Belgian football, so I think I can't remember if that was their first season back in the top flight or it was their second, but really good side. And yeah, I think for us, I think it should have been warning signs a little bit in terms of seeing Motherwell struggle and against Sligo Rovers. I think Scottish sides and competition in July always rings at alarm bells. But certainly in August time it certainly does. So yeah, it was a bit of a shocker. But what was your take on the game?
Yeah, I just think it was a disappointing outcome for Rangers. I think 2-0 flattered Rangers to an extent because I mean the hosts were on the side they were dominating playing. Obviously they had that penalty which they got to make it 2-0, which was harsh. But I don't think a lot of Rangers fans should be moaning about that one in all honesty because it kind of papered over the cracks into what was a poor night for Rangers. And I mean, John McLaughlin had a disappointing evening. VAR's way to come to Scottish football, Greg, and I think Rangers got their first taste of VAR on Tuesday night in a rather negative manner. Obviously, they've had VAR before, having been in European action, but Tuesday was the first time they've had VAR go against them, and it just a lot went wrong. The performance was poor. Overall approach towards the game was poor. And you could tell that there was a difference in terms of the approach that Union made in terms of they've probably be back a bit sooner. I think did they play Summer League at all?
No, I think they started earlier because of the World Cup. I'm sure. So I think a lot of leagues have started a bit earlier, started in July, as opposed to kind of to obviously help their national sides prepare well for it. Obviously, Scotland, we're not one of them preparing for the World Cup. But that being said, I think you can tell there. I don't know, in terms of there was a bit more of a sharpness there. I think, listen, obviously, I know Rangers just played at the weekend against Livingston, but yeah, I felt USG from what I said from the highlights I witnessed, it looked a really, really good side. And again, I think normally as well, we're used to sides such as kind of maybe Standard Liège, Anderlecht. So again, for me, I kind of going in there. I didn't think they'd be as good as those sides. But yeah, pleasantly surprised me. But looking at the VAR calls as well, I think, listen, this is what a lot of Scottish football will say come implementation of it going against you as well, which again looked a bit harsh, I think, on second viewing. But I think that's kind of the rules of VAR being implemented. So harsh for Rangers, but obviously a big game again next week.
I mean, one positive we can take out of this, Greg, is the fact that Rangers have been renowned, especially over the last year, of getting big results in the European stage. In particular, at Ibrox, where they've played Braga, they've played RB Leipzig, they've played Dortmund, and held their own. It's not as though they've been turned around. And what I would say is, I think USG are a similar opposition to them. So I think for Rangers, I think they need to get Kilmarnock and Saturday out of the way. League is ultimately the bread and butter as far as Rangers fans are concerned. Get Saturday out of the way. It's going to be a difficult game against Kelly. And then on Tuesday, I think it is against USG. Try and be professional, try and get an impetus in the game, try and get an early goal, and then see how it goes.
See, one of the other important things as well, Dave, is that obviously if Rangers were to go out, psychologically, it's a massive blow. Even I said the league would be 2 games in or something. Psychologically, that is a big blow to Rangers in terms of their confidence, because again, you're looking across the city, your city rivals, your biggest rivals are in the Champions League. They'll be playing the kind of bread and butter of Europe, and again, that's not any slight against USG. But the other thing as well is it puts them on the back foot, because they'd go into the Europa League and they'd be playing on Thursdays. So straight away, Celtic will be playing Tuesday, Wednesday, and likelihood is they'll get their game Saturday as well. Rangers will be playing every Sunday, or close enough to every other Sunday, and they're playing catch up as well. So I mean, it's almost they're taking a 2-step, kind of advantage to Celtic if they allowed that. So yeah, it goes without saying, and I know every game is massive, but it is massive for them next week. I think as well, from speaking with one of my friends in the office who got his ticket yesterday morning, I think it's a sellout as well at Ibrox. And as you said, you've seen last season when Rangers had full houses against, as you're saying, the Leipzig and Dortmund. It really, I hate using this footballing cliche, but it gave them a 12th man. So yeah, I think it'll be a massive boost to Rangers. So you're right, need a positive result at the weekend to keep obviously on the coattails and keep the pressure on with Celtic. But going at that game, it is an absolute must-win for them.
I mean, you look at last season, Rangers exited out of Champions League courtesy of Malmo, and I think that kind of derailed Rangers to an extent. Yes, it was under Steven Gerrard, and it's a totally different complexion to affairs under Bar Bronckhorst now. But Rangers crashed out to Malmo in the Champions League, and I don't think a lot of this has been documented in the public domain. But I think this set back Rangers to an extent in terms of trying to win things domestically and also try to be competitive in all fronts last season.
No, definitely. I think, yeah, there's a lot you can talk about media and West Coast bias, and a lot of these people support one half Celtic or Rangers, so they might not make most of it. But you make a really good point, because, as I said earlier, like it's a massive psychological boost. So I think last season, when you look at the optics of it, is Celtic are struggling, Celtic are, second choice man and Ange Postecoglou, they waited too long for Howe, and obviously Celtic lost their first league game against Hearts, and they go, oh no, like they're going to be struggling again this season. And then, like, for Rangers to then come along and say, hold my beer, don't worry, Celtic, we'll level up a bit for you here. Again, that you're right. I think probably Postecoglou must have looked at that and thought, listen, like, they're not in a great shape. They're getting put out by Malmo. Again, funnily enough, or ironically enough, a year later they signed one of the strikers that put them out in that game, in Colak. But I think if Rangers go out next week again, listen, I think we'll probably come on to it later on in terms of who we think are going to be the top league and the bottom league. I think Celtic, it would give another sort of boost towards Celtic as well, in terms of Celtic retaining that title.
Apologies about that. Sorry. John McLaughlin. Sorry, we'll start again. It must have been ex-Hearts goalkeeper, so that's why I held my speech there. John McLaughlin, ex-Hearts goalkeeper, and there was a lot of criticism about his display on Tuesday night in Belgium. But what did you think of it from my own personal point of view, Greg? I thought it was a performance in which he could have done more for the first goal. Second goal, obviously, that was a penalty, but I think Alan McGregor would have commanded his box and commanded his area a little bit more. I just think that type of stage was capable more for Alan McGregor than John McLaughlin. Not that John McLaughlin's a bad goalkeeper, any stretch of imagination. I just think that game needed an Al McGregor type.
I don't know. It's a hard one because I think we've seen last season as well, especially in some of the European competitions, that Alan McGregor's powers were on the wane. You think of that Ross County game away when it was Ross County 3 Rangers 3, how bad he was then, and Aberdeen as well. You'll obviously remember that. But Audrey, like I know he's kind of, listen, what is he, 41 years old? Like I think naturally as well that his peak years are behind him. John McLaughlin for me, I think, is a really, really good backup in terms of if it was Celtic or Rangers backup, you're thinking, a real steady Eddie to come in and play 10, 15 games a season, cup game, it's really, really good. In terms of being number one choice at Rangers and that kind of under the microscope and the magnifying glass of the Goldfish Bowl, which is Celtic and Rangers, can you handle it? I think there was a big test, but looking towards the kind of rest of the season, I can't really see Rangers signing another keeper. I think they'll probably alternate between McGregor and McLaughlin, and that could be, we talk around goalkeepers being crucial. When I was a Hearts supporter, I seen with Craig Gordon last season and the season before, good goalkeeper can win you points over a season, 9, 12 points over a season, and listen, that could be the difference between the league title as well, between Celtic and Rangers. If I think Joe Hart is a really, really good goalkeeper. He's again arguably one of the best in the league if you compare him alongside Craig Gordon. I'll not get into that, but I think McLaughlin, he'll know himself. It wasn't the best night at the office, but he'll have that belief and he'll back himself that he'll stave off the challenge from McGregor for the rest of the season. But be interested, as you say, when McGregor does come in, what's his performance level is going to be at as well. Especially, again, we talk about the psychological side. He started the season off as number 2 under Van Bronckhorst's eyes. Will he rise to the challenge and reclaim the jersey? But we're interested to see what he does in terms of the weekend. I'd imagine he'll stick with McLaughlin, having given that confidence. But who knows?
Absolutely. Right, away from Rangers, obviously disappointing outcome in Belgium at the weekend. On to Celtic now, and Celtic ruled the roost on Sunday night. Lovely Sunday roast if you're a Celtic fan, beating Aberdeen by 2-0. Jota, well, Greg, it took an age for Jota to come and sign for Celtic permanently. There was a lot of discussion over the summer regarding Jota, but once it was over the line, Celtic fans were happy, relieved, and he took Celtic back a light on Sunday afternoon. Yeah,
I think, again, in terms of wanting for the best for the Scottish football, as a player, puts bums on seats, attracts viewers, and I think when you've seen in the past, when you've had the likes of Van Dijk or even, as I said, Joe Aribo, and recently, obviously, in the summer there, when you see a good player, he's not going to be here for long, so we shouldn't enjoy his talents. Again, in terms of, obviously, Celtic's aspirations for this season, in terms of probably wanting at least a treble, and obviously doing well in Champions League, Jota's going to be really, really crucial to that. His goal on Sunday was just something of sheer talent and sheer ability, and I think we might get onto the Aberdeen goalkeeping situation later this hour. But listen, it doesn't matter who you had in goals here. I think it was a terrific strike, and I think we talk about match winners and given the chance, they can again get you a goal, get you an assist, and I think certainly this season he'll be really, really crucial to Celtic in their efforts in Europe and domestically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was watching the game in the pub on Sunday because I was at the Turf Show, which is in the northeast of Scotland, just to clarify. It's a farming show. And let's just say that Jota's finish was an agricultural finish. At the top bag, bang. Game over, 2-0.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I didn't watch highlights of that. I only watched the highlights of this, sorry. But obviously you'll have watched the full game as well. But in terms of Celtic, and from the reports I've heard, they were dominant first half, I was hearing, and then second half as well. I don't want to say a routine win, but it was a really well-earned win for Celtic. But what was your take on the performance? From a Celtic point of view, I know you're a Dons fan, but what did you make of Celtic and their performance?
Yeah, I'll start with Celtic, and I mean, as we've alluded to on the show already, they were already a bigger fish than they were 12 months ago under Postecoglou. 12 months ago, there was still a lot of fixing to be done behind the scenes at that club. Boss Collins was started to come in and obviously sort things out. There was a lot to sort out. But 12 months down the line, and there's a lot to be positive about from a Celtic point of view. We've got Carter Vickers and Jota in the permanent deal, and that's shown Sunday. But also Stephen Welsh, he got the freedom east side of Glasgow on Sunday after 5 minutes. The caller comes in. A good delivery nonetheless, but from an Aberdeen point of view, they've been expecting the Dons defence to be a bit more resolute and be a bit more diligent in their approach with that. So Welsh got the freedom in the east end of Glasgow, bang, in the net, head like a 50p coin, straight in that net, 1-0 Celtic, and no debutants featured from the off, which would have been a little bit disappointed if you were a Celtic fan and looking to see that, but highlighted how much the Australia values continuity in his squad, I think, can't be undermined, and that just goes to show you how much Ange Postecoglou has a lot of belief in his players that he has, and also how he wants to move on with the current crop, also building that with the acquisitions that he's brought in. And from an Aberdeen point of view, they had a really, really good Premier Sports Cup. But I think Sunday was always going to be a good barometer for Aberdeen, because with all due respect here, Greg, Peterhead, the Barnstable, Albion are League One and League Two teams respectively. Peterhead's at the lower echelons of League One. Raith Rovers, I don't think a lot's going to be expected of them under Ian Murray this year, and it was going to be one of those that you didn't really know what to expect. So I think from this point of view, it was a really, really good challenge for Aberdeen, and it was really good to see whether there's still concerns about the way Aberdeen play. I still think there's a long way to go in the Goodwin Revolution. I still think there's a lot to rebuilding to do, but Rome wasn't built in a night, and there's still a long way to go. And I mean, if Aberdeen can go and turn this 6 points out of 9 in the next 2 games, I don't think any Aberdeen fan would bat an eyelid about that. And Sunday was disappointing, but I mean, had that been a Stephen Glass team, I think they'd have crumbled early doors. And the reason why I think that is because Stephen Glass did have a good record against the old firm last season, i.e. Celtic and Rangers. But what he would have lacked, he'd have lacked a little bit of experience, he'd have lacked a little bit of character, and he'd have lacked a little bit of resilience. Something that I think Goodwin had in all 3 accounts on Sunday.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that as well, in terms, I think you probably answered most of it there, but obviously you're an Aberdeen fan, I'm a Hearts fan. We've had our fair experiences in terms of watching our teams go through to Glasgow, and you're expecting a kind of doing. It's almost a case of, right, listen, what's it going to be in terms of a scoreline? Can we keep it respectable? But coming away from that, did you feel like, well, can you positivity? I know you said obviously you've had a good Premier Sports Cup, and again you're just saying Peterhead, who I think were, Colin Byers might not hear this, but I think they are one of the worst teams in League One this season. I'd be astonished if they stayed up. It'd be a great escape act. And then, as you're saying, Raith Rovers and others as well that were in the group. But do you come away from that feeling a lot more optimistic than you would have done in terms of on the previous Aberdeen managers coming away from Celtic Park?
I do. I mean, you look at Derek McInnes and Stephen Glass Aberdeen teams, and they went to Glasgow and been compact, been resolute, been diligent in their play. But one thing that would have been lacking from that own point of view would have either been the fact that we were not exactly in the front foot, not being potent enough in front of goal, or under Glass, not having enough experience to go and see out winning situations or big situations. There was a heavy reliance, I felt, on Christian Ramirez, Scott Brown under Stephen Glass last year. As for Duke Goodwin, the bin's been turned. All the rubbish has been thrown out the window as far as Jim Goodwin's concerned. And there's been a lot of difference. There's been a huge rebuild at Batodra. It took a lot later than what a lot of Aberdeen fans would have liked, because I think the first bit of business didn't get done until probably after Father's Day, which just goes to show you where Aberdeen were at that precise moment in time, where Goodwin was away enjoying a few beers, and Aberdeen players were still enjoying their own close season as well. But I think the proof will be in the pudding probably come the next international break, if I'm going to be honest with you, Greg, because I just think that Celtic, I don't like the saying of getting beat off one of the Glasgow teams won't define your season, because that's a dangerous mentality to have if you're a Hearts or Aberdeen or Dundee United. You go into every game wanting to win a game of football, and that's how it should be, or that's how I know the game of football should be. Yeah, I think from an Aberdeen point of view, I think if we can get 6 points out of 9 over the next 2 games, I think that'd be a good barometer to see where Aberdeen are at, and I think it would show progression from an Aberdeen point of view as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's a good point you make there around. I think in past years, and as I said, you kind of go to Glasgow and you think, you know what, listen, it's we'll see what we can do here. But in terms of the right mentality, I know Hearts, I've recently said with Joe Savage that you want to go to Glasgow with an expectancy as well to actually not just turn up and keep respectable or get a draw. You want to win. When you think about it, if Aberdeen, Hearts, Dundee United, Hibs, other sides as well, Ross County again, we obviously have aspirations of staying in the top 6. When you are in the top 6, there's 24 points at play when you play Celtic and Rangers. So you don't want to write off 24 points from the possible tally at the beginning of the season. Go, you know what, it's a free hit. Let's not have that mentality, because I think when you have that can listen. One result can lead to another as well. If you were to get a kind of bit of a doing or kind of change your principles and for that as well, especially for a manager. Maybe we've seen that in previous managers that will change the way in which they play Celtic or Rangers. But coming back to Aberdeen, then obviously I think there's a couple of comments here from the chat asking around Christian Ramirez. I know there is. The squad number where he changed to 99. I know we said at the beginning of the season we thought that he was going to America, not coming back. What's the latest on Christian Ramirez to answer a few comments from the viewers?
Absolutely. There's been very little update from Jim Goodwin's point of view regarding Christian Ramirez. I mean, what I would say Christian Ramirez is been looking a lot more hungrier in pre-season. He played with Peterhead, and had it not been for a good goalkeeper, could easily scored 4 or 5 that day. It was Jack Human, who's a loan at Peterhead from Dundee United, had a fantastic game and goals for Peterhead in that day in question. Something that would have delighted Colin Byers, because I think if you were Colin Byers, you'd have been expecting a whitewash that day in question. But yeah, in terms of Ramirez, he's shown he's hungry. Yeah, I'll take the point that the games he's been hungry in has been against Stirling, Barton and Peterhead. What I would say is obviously Miovski got the nod from Jim Goodwin after his visa process went through, playing Raith Rovers, and then Ramirez wasted that chance for Aberdeen, and social media went erupt after that game. I mean, I was speaking to a few people after that Raith Rovers game, and I was saying, imagine being that Aberdeen social media guy, putting out that team lines at 1:45 in Sunday afternoon, and there's been, this is going to be fire away to erupt here. And then the fact that he was 99, Aberdeen didn't announce this on their social media, but obviously the players went out to warm up and it was 99, and people's going, 99 for Christian Ramirez. But I mean, there's been very little been said in the public domain for either Jim Goodwin or Aberdeen Football Club or indeed Christian Ramirez about this. There was a question asked after the Raith game about it, but there was very little that Jim Goodwin, understandably so, but it was going to come and say about it. So I think unless there's any movement or that next few weeks, then I think news will break quickly. But apart from that, there's very little at this precise moment in time. And on to Graham Mark Duffy, using your Sunday name there, Graham, about Ramadani. He's fitting in really, really well. I think him and Miovski will have a big part to play in an Aberdeen shirt this year, just because they've played with each other, but also the fit to Jim Goodwin's style of play. So I've rambled on a bit there about Aberdeen, and we better keep going on to the next show.
One thing, obviously, I know you were going to bring up later on, is about Liam Scales. Obviously, he was missing for that game due to the fact, obviously, he's on loan from Celtic. How impressed have you been with Liam Scales' impact and his partnership with Stuart at the back, another new centre-back, obviously, for Aberdeen this season, who's also now the new club captain?
Yeah, they had a pretty solid Premier Sports Cup campaign. And as I'm saying to you, Greg, I don't think the opening games for Aberdeen shows a correct but accurate barometer yet, because the Celtic defeat was without William Scales. Now, am I against the William Scales loan addition from Celtic? No, I'm all for it because, I mean, from Aberdeen's point of view, we had a disappointing season last season. This was about recuperating on the losses that we had, either on the park and off the park. And for me, if we can get any possible quality additions that we can, I think it's got to be welcomed. You understand from your own perspective of Hearts, Greg, where Hearts have been in the doldrums, had their predicaments, and have bounced back. The appointed Robbie Nelson's manager, and Hearts have, with the exception of being brought in the Scottish Cup, have looked back ever since. I mean, Hearts have had a pretty successful and positive last 2-3 years, or 2 years. I hope the same happens for Aberdeen. I hope things begin to get an upward trajectory again. I hope things start to get positive again. For Aberdeen, there's always going to be negative moments. I mean, that's football, unfortunately. I was speaking to Graham about this on another group chat on Tuesday. I was making a point to Graham. Things aren't going to go well for you every week in football. It's the highlights that you'll be happy about. It's the highlights you'll be happy about and have a champagne with on a Saturday night. And it's the negative moments that you'll go to your bed and go, I wish we did this, I wish we did that. But, on your normal question regarding skills and shit, I think they've performed a really good partnership. Declan Gallagher had that rant in the Daily Record related to, obviously, how things prevailed at Aberdeen for him, but you look at it now, and every Aberdeen fan will tell you that Anthony Stewart and Liam Scales perform a better partnership compared to Gallagher and David Bates, begging your pardon. I think I said Scales there for some reason, but Declan Gallagher and David Bates it's like having sticky toffee pudding compared to Stewart and Scales, which is rock solid, and it's one of those Blackpool rock things where it's hard to get past. So it's one of those things. Apologies for getting the pudding myths out there tonight, but it's the honest truth. I mean, we're a lot more organised at the back, and Kilroos and Aberdeen goal, I think he's shown he's capable of being number one. There is negatives, is the right word. There is disadvantages within this game, but I think with a bit of development, a bit of improvement, and I think with a bit more collectiveness about Jim Goodwin's philosophy, I think Kilroos will come out of that game and be a good goalkeeper for Aberdeen. I mean, Joe Lewis is currently going through a predicament. He enjoyed a good period between 6 at Pittodrie. He had a disappointing last campaign, and it's Kilroos' turn. Give him time now.
Yeah, be interesting to see. As I said, for me, again, as an outsider, I always thought Joe Lewis was a really kind of good custodian. The Aberdeen goal, I thought a real kind of steady pair of hands. I think, was it Peterborough he's got him from? I think he was a Norwich youth in Peterborough, and then I think he's again, you'd have to look back at his time as being a real success at Aberdeen. And I think I mentioned earlier around Alan McGregor obviously being on the decline may have hampered Joe Lewis a bit earlier by the looks of it. His powers are definitely on the wane, but it'd be interesting to see, because Kilroos, I think most of his career has been at Derby, a couple of loan spells, but it's kind of always been a number two, so it'd be interesting if he can make that number one jersey his own at Pittodrie.
Yeah, 100%. Right, Tannadice, big game this for Dundee United tonight. The Jim McLean days in the 1980s, me and Greg weren't even born then. That just goes to show you how young we are, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong. But big game for Dundee United this tonight, Greg.
Absolutely. I think it's we talk about games and you know, in terms of a supporter, you talked about earlier about the lows and stuff in terms of moments. I mean, you've got a lot of Celtic fans on here, Hearts, Aberdeen, and I know there's a Hibby there lurking in Craig Leach. We know what it's like in terms of low days. We long for these sort of, you know, days out and trips away, and I'm sure obviously a lot of Dundee United supporters as well will have good relish in going over to Holland as well and playing AZ Alkmaar, obviously in the second leg. But I think for Dundee United, it's a massive game. AZ Alkmaar are certainly a really kind of established side in terms of, I was looking at the squad list earlier, you've got like say Bruno Martins Indy and Jordi Clase and stuff, that really household names in terms of, you know, if you can follow European football, especially they've played for the Netherlands national team as well that are really, really good players. And, I think Jack Ross said in the comments in his press conference that they don't want to be tourists playing AZ Alkmaar, and I think he's absolutely right. But for me, I know we'll get onto it as well in terms of our friend Thomas Courts, Tam Courts, however you call him. Now that he's away, I think Jack Ross is probably a really, really good appointment for Dundee United. And again, in terms of talking about teams this season in Scotland doing really, really good business, I think Dundee United, you could argue, have done the best business in terms of where we're at last season to where they are now. And I think going into that game as well, that listen, I think with Motherwell, I did have a bit of a kind of inkling that things could go a bit pear-shaped. I've got a lot more kind of confidence in Dundee United and a Jack Ross side as well in terms of how they'll be set up. I think they'll be competitive. I think, again, from the weekend, I don't think there'll be too many changes from the side that played at Kilmarnock. But, looking at this game, I think it's on BBC Scotland tonight, 8 o'clock kickoff. So by the time we finish, everyone can go and watch that, get their tea ready and watch that. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know, what's your thoughts going? I know you covered Dundee United a lot last season. What's your expectations going into the game tonight?
Yeah, first and foremost, your point about Jack Ross. I'd like to have seen Tony Ashgar make a decision far earlier than he did. I think Tom Courts, the situation regarding Tom Courts, transpired for a longer period than it really should have. And then it meant Jack Ross came in far later than everybody at Dundee United would have pursued or liked. And it meant Jack Ross was playing catch-up from the word go. From the word go, he was playing catch-up in terms of getting players in, but not only getting players in, getting the right calibre of player at the club. He's done that to an extent now. He's taken 2 players from Australia. He's taken Jamie McGrath. I think Jamie McGrath's a good piece of business from Dundee United. I think tonight's a good experiment for Dundee United because it'll be good to see them against a side that finished fifth in the Eredivisie last season. Eredivisie is a decent standard. I could argue that it's got parallels with Scottish football or the Scottish Premiership. So I think it's going to be a good one in that regard. Obviously, was it AZ that played Celtic last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be a good test for Dundee United as well because obviously ASL have played Scottish opposition before and they've got a lot of class in that specific area. But from a Dundee United point of view as well, I think it was positive from Jack Ross to get Dylan Levitt tied up in a permanent deal. I think that was everybody's Christmas present very, very early as far as Dundee United fans were concerned because Dylan Levitt very much blew up Tardis last season. He was absolutely fantastic and helped into very significant performances for formerly Tom Courts' side and now Jack Ross's side. And Stephen Fletcher, he's a player who's not scored a lot of goals, but he's a player that will help and contribute because that was an Achilles heel for Tony Watt, didn't score enough goals. So I think United have strengthened in the right areas regarding attacking options, and I think United have a good strong 11. I think they've got good options on the bench. I still think there need a few more players in, but United at the moment are in a really, really good place, and tonight will be a good experience for Dundee United, both on and off the park, because it's going to be a sellout tonight, and that just goes to show you how much Dundee United fans love European football, because they understand that they've not had it for a decade. You'd have to go back to a decade ago when they played Dynamo Moscow, and it was goals from Will Ford and Paul Watson that and that's 10 years. And 10 years is a far long time for Dundee United to be without European football. Obviously, Dundee United's had their misdemeanours, we're getting relegated to a championship, and that was far from ideal for the Tardis side. But Dundee United's back. I think tonight will show that Dundee United are back as a football club, and it's up to Dundee United to go and showcase himself and put Scottish football on the ladder.
Yeah, massive game, and I think going back to some of the signings you mentioned there earlier, I know there's Graham Taylor and Jamie McGrath. I think he'll be a good signing. I think you look at their squad last season to this season. I think it's definitely kind of because I think goalkeeper aside, because I don't think we know much about Bagretti as well, who's the Australian. I know he was there last year, and I think obviously Hearts have an own team, and obviously Ange Postecoglou's got obviously Adam Moy, an Australian player as well coming in. he could be, a very, very equal or better replacement than him. But again, I was really, really impressed with, you mentioned Dylan Levitt. I think he's an outstanding signing again. I think I'm surprised that maybe more clubs in Scotland weren't reportedly in for him. I know maybe like Hibs or Aberdeen make a play, Hearts as well. It just seemed like a kind of formality for the United to get him back, which is massive. Jamie McGrath, I think, who obviously Jack Ross has tried to sign twice before as well, also was Hibs manager. Another great signing. He's brought Middleton, who I think will give him that pace as well. Again, you could say sometimes he's a bit like a speedboat without a driver at times, Glenn Middleton, especially his times at St Johnstone. But I think that, in terms of attacker options, last season I've said as well that I'm a massive Nicky Clark fan as well. I think he brings a lot to the side. Again, with Tony Watt probably needed somebody to kind of take the burden off being the main striker, and I think Fletcher will definitely do that. Stephen Fletcher, with experience with his girl, I think 2-year deal as well. I think he can realise that role. Again, we've seen the impact Charlie Mulgrew made to the defence last season, brought in like to Ross Graham. You're kind of hoping that Stephen Fletcher does similar for the likes of. Oh, you there, Dave?
Yeah. No, sorry, I was just taking off my headphones. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, just in terms of the impact that Stephen Fletcher can make to Tony Watt, because again, Tony Watt's not really had a fruitful 6 months at Tannadice from his move from Motherwell, so be interesting. Again, in terms of score predictions, without seeing the teams, I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to go for a 1-1. Optimistic 1-1, yeah. Fighting chance for over in Holland. What's your thoughts on the game tonight?
Well, there's reports that Alkmaar are without big players. 7 were reported, but I don't know if that's true or not. I think it'll be close tonight. I'm going to agree with you, Greg. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. But Brian Murray made the point here about Tony Watt. I think he's got a big game in him tonight, Tony Watt. I think because they've got Stephen Fletcher involved, I think Tony Watt should be underestimated in Europe. I think United fans would be the first to say that they'd want more from Tony Watt. But at the same time, you look at Tony Watt and the amount of goals he's contributed without scoring them, and he's been absolutely brilliant in a Dundee United shirt as well. So, I think if Tony Watt can get his brain switched on and get to some good areas, he could be a big player for Dundee United tonight. 1-1.
1-1. Go with that. Optimistic start to the season from us both.
Yeah. Right, Motherwell without a manager. First and foremost, Greg, it was a very disappointing start to the season because, yes, Sligo Rovers are playing summer football and they'll be a lot more sharper than Motherwell. But from a Motherwell point of view, a lot of people are looking at this and going, we should be winning this comprehensively, we should be comfortable in this game, and we should be off to, I don't know who, I think they were meant to be off to Czech Republic tonight and they won. So I was vitally disappointed as far as Motherwell were concerned. But now they're looking for a manager. Graham Alexander thanked all the Motherwell fans. He put out a statement. I've seen his wife put out a tweet about the statement actually. How social media plays a massive part of families nowadays. But Graham Alexander gone, thanking Motherwell fans, and obviously was proud of the achievements that he inherited at Fir Park. But what do you expect, Motherwell? Kevin Thompson's been linked with the position. Being honest, Greg, I don't think the time's right for. I don't think the time's right for Kevin Thompson. I think Kevin Thompson's got a lot of potential, but I was up to Kelty Hearts last weekend for that game against FC Edinburgh. I was speaking to somebody before the game, and it looked as though Kevin Thompson wanted to leave Kelty Hearts Football Club, which goes to show you that despite Kelty and the fact that they're ambitious, it shows that Kevin Thompson wanted a full-time role. Is he ready for the Premiership yet? No. I think he'd be ready for a Raith Rovers type of job or a Dundee type of job that he was linked with, or even I'll give you a club at Malton type of job. I think he'd be ready for Championship, but not the Premiership yet.
So that Morton is a tribute to Colin, obviously being from Greenock as well. No, listen.
West Cornwall.
No, in terms of listen, I think again, I'm not far from Cheltenham as well. I'm along the road, but from the signs of it, he took over a team which had again got promoted at the expense of Bonrike as well. Again, had signing players from the Championship when they were in the Lowland League. So they came up well back financially again last season in League Two. They brought in Thompson. And to be fair, Thompson obviously had good connections and good understanding of the sort of under-20s football, because obviously he was in Rangers, because he was able to bring in Barionis and obviously Kieran Gwena, Connor Barron as well, had good loan spells there, as well as supplementing the existing squad. Guys like Callum Higginbotham and Cardle and whatnot came in as well. Aguiman as well came in, Alfredo, not that one. But listen, they were the biggest spenders last season, League Two. It would have been a real shock had they not went up last season. But by the sounds of it, and the reports I've kind of heard as well, it was from January last season, or January this season, or January this year of last season, should I say? It was always keen. There was always, Kilmarnock when Tommy Wright left. He interviewed for that. He lost it to Derek McInnes. And again, I think it's kind of disrespectful to Kelly as well. You mentioned around Dundee United should have acted earlier there as well, in terms of being decisive and obviously bringing in Ross. Same again with Kelly. He was kind of leading down the garden path. I believe he actually interviewed or applied for a race. He was kind of close there, but then pulled out. I think he thought maybe he was going to QPR as Michael Beale's assistant. I mean, I don't know if he'll ins and outs, but in terms of is he ready for the Motherwell job right now, I wouldn't say so. Would I be surprised if he got it? Listen, Scottish football, the Cinch Premiership never ceases to out-cinch itself. I don't think realistically he'll get it, but obviously he's got friends in the media who like talking him up, which is fair play. In terms of other contenders for me, I've seen Paul Lambert threw his hat in today, saying as Robbie be interested in. It's almost quite incestual with this Motherwell St Mirren link. You've got a St Mirren legend in Paul Lambert wanting to get the Motherwell job, and then one of the other guys that was named by the bookies is the ex-Motherwell manager who's now at St Mirren with the chief executive being a Motherwell legend with 7 ex-Motherwell players. It's all a bit funny, but I think Paul Lambert would be an interesting appointment as well. Again, his last spell of management in Scotland was Livingston, which was 12, 13 years ago. But obviously he's been down in England. He's obviously had a successful career. Depends what you define success, but obviously he's obviously got promotion and was managed in the Premier League. He'd be an interesting one. But in terms of other names, I think at this moment in time, there's not like I would say a younger manager in the Championship or League One that you would look at, even another manager in the Premier League that would jump ship to Motherwell. I don't know in terms of yourself. Who would you kind of fancy or tip as an outside bet to be the next Motherwell manager or a contender?
Yeah. First and foremost, Motherwell's an attractable job. What would be worrying for the Steelmen is the fact that they've got the third manager. Third manager. Third manager 2 years. Third manager 2 years because Robinson left. He left January last year, which was January 21, which just goes to show you that Motherwell will be going through their third manager in 18 months, which for a club like Motherwell, they'll be looking for a bit of stability. And I think that's a big thing as far as the Steelmen are concerned. For me, Paul Lambert, I'm not 100% convinced he would be a good applicant for the Motherwell job. I think he was a good player for Celtic. He was a good player for St Mirren. He was a good player whenever he went to Dortmund. He won the Champions League with Dortmund. I think Ipswich kind of painted the jigsaw, so to speak, about how he is as a manager. He obviously did relatively well in stages with Norwich, but never really grasped his full potential management, I felt. David Robertson, Graham's mentioned David Robertson, a terrific appointment. That's the one man that I think should be in Scottish football, or I think should be getting more it'll be getting linked more, with more jobs in Scottish football. David Robertson, especially after the work that he's doing at Real Kashmir. I mean, he'd be a terrific manager in the Premiership and the Championship here in Scotland.
I'm not convinced for Robertson. I think he's kind of done away with, obviously, his documentary on BBC Scotland about him, inside Real Kashmir. Really interesting to watch. I think he's a bit of the old school. I'm going to throw a name in here. And a lot of the Axon viewers that obviously watch this might be going, right, I know you're coming from here, and it may take a lot of people by surprise. But I think Celtic women's manager Farah Alonso would be a good fit. And I'll justify this just now in terms of, listen, he's got the pedigree. I think he was Pochettino's first team coach at Southampton. He was Ronald Koeman's assistant at Everton. So again, it's shown he's worked with elite players. He's got a good contact base as well. He's then taken the brave and bold decision to go into women's football, which I believe he didn't have any knowledge previously. I know he managed down in Lewes, which is down near Brighton. And then I can't remember if he was involved with Everton women as well, maybe coach there after Everton men's team. And then obviously came up to Celtic, and by accounts, obviously he's built a good side. Obviously, I know he's been backed by Celtic, but it's been a good side able to bring success there. Someone like that, I feel, in terms of, you talk about Kevin Thompson already.
Do you think he'll go back to men's game?
Well, listen, we don't really see that crossover, don't we? I think in years gone by, and again, I'm going to bring a name in, like Scott Booth, who failed at Stenhousemuir, who I think were in the third or fourth tier at Scottish football. So he failed there, and then again, that's not diminishing Scott. I'm not saying one role could define someone, but really struggled to manage part-time Stenhousemuir. Again, it then went into Glasgow City, one Scotland's most successful women's team. Let's make no bones about that. They are, and was able to bring title success to them. Went to Birmingham City down in the Premier Women's WSL. Struggled there, although I know that they're a bit of a basket club as well, by all accounts. But it shows you it's not easy in terms of other roles as well. But I don't think we see enough of that in terms of managers moving in between as well, because I think in terms of the kind of raw attributes what you need to be a manager to lead, because it's different managing and coaching, but being a manager of women, being a manager of men, listen, I'm a manager in my role, and Monday to Friday 9 till 5. I've worked in different areas. I've worked with people that are quite technical, I've worked with people that are on the phones, or very quite sales. I think in terms of that, it's transferable skills, and for me, I would throw his name in the ring there. I know a lot of Celtic women supporters or Celtic fans that obviously watch this would be thinking, don't poach a manager to Motherwell. But I think something like that is, for me, more realistic than a Robertson over at Real Kashmir or a Kevin Thompson.
Well, it's obviously Alex McLeish, as I say, there's touched on here, can explain his name, but Alex McLeish would tend to it. I think so, but what I would say in that part, Greg, is I think it'd be Alex McLeish's final hoodoo management, because of age, because of experience, because of the way he's went about the game, the way he's went about the management game. Do you think Stephen Hamill has thrown himself into the management ring after the 1-0 win at St Mirren?
Could do. I think it's one of those, sometimes, like, when a manager gets thrown in, obviously he's got one victory. I know he was in the Motherwell Youths, just won the Milk Cup over in Northern Ireland as well. Yeah. So success at a lesser level, of course, but still success, isn't it? Listen, he's a Motherwell legend by all accounts, in terms of, I think, was it over 400 and odd appearances. Basically spent the majority of his career there at Motherwell as well. I think he did have a spell away there in England, but straight away you get the Motherwell fans on side. There was a comment I heard, actually, I don't know if I can say it here, but that after the Sligo game, the second leg, they were saying that there's an ex-Tory Prime Minister who is no longer with us, but would be more welcomed in ML1 than Graham Alexander, such as the vitriol that he had. I think even just from obviously last season as well, the style of football, the lack of results, the lack of wins, was 2 wins, I think, in 2022 or something like that as well, or 3 include cups. So obviously there's there's a real kind of disconnect with supporters and Motherwell just now. And I'm just seeing there as well from Colin, Mark McGee, the weather's still warm.
Well, he's not well liked in Dundee after how things prevailed. Well, he's not very liked in the Tardis half of Dundee, that's for sure. But he's not liked at the Sandeman Street end of Dundee, that's for sure. Especially after how things prevailed at Dens Park. Hopefully, the heating is still on Mark McGee's house, especially after it was switched off in his house in Broughty Ferry.
I really hope it isn't. Have you seen utility bills? If he's paying for his heating during obviously one of the hottest times of the year in Scotland, especially after that heat wave of the week, he's a fool, an absolute fool. That'll be hampering his pension or his payoff from Dundee.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one because there's not much big names getting linked with the job here. There's names in which are the unsurprising ones, but you get the feeling unless Motherwell go left field, it's going to be nobody inspiring as such.
I think that Simo Valaraki, I think the ex-Motherwell player as well, played in the early noughties as well. I think.
So him in Finland or something?
Yeah, Finland. He's managing Finland at the moment. He applied before, I think it was maybe before Robinson, when he was a free agent. And then there's this other, in fact, the other guy before as well, is now in a Ten Hag's assistant. Was it Van der Gaag as well? I think at Man United, he applied last time around as well. He's a bit of a Motherwell legend, Mitch Van der Gaag. But yeah, I don't think you're going to get the Man United number 2 leaving so soon to join Motherwell as manager. But listen, as I said, I would like to see a different name in there. Through in Fran Alonso, I thought, I think it would be play football the right way, got a good experience, good contacts, got success in terms of Celtic women as well. Be interesting, but let's see who they appoint.
Yep. Right, we're still in football to come this weekend. Big weekend of football, actually. Celtic go to Dingwall, Rangers host Kilmarnock, Aberdeen host St Mirren. This is the Edinburgh Derby, the big one, Greg. I think a lot of people are looking at this and going, Hearts are doubly a lot stronger than Hibs both on and off the park. I mean, Joe Savage is doing some terrific work off the park at the club. And then obviously Hearts have had a good foundation off the back of last season, but if you speak to Graham will be one of those that'll tell you that he's not getting too carried away with this. I think it'll be hotly anticipated. I think this will be a game where there won't be much to separate the sides.
Yeah, what I would say, Graham, it's because you're talking about Graham, you've got me thinking of what I would say, Dave. Thank you very much for referencing, keeping me waiting, talking about Hearts. You wait until the 51st minute, 5-1. We know your leanings in terms of Edinburgh if you have to choose a side. But yeah, in terms of Hearts and this season as well, obviously one I'm very, very much looking forward to. The fact that Hearts have guaranteed European group stage football until Christmas time. Again, we've not had that since Robbie Nielsen was a player. Played at Murrayfield as well. And we had like Sechal, Kambal and Ferencváros as well. Shadow Laszlo's at Ferencváros. And Ralph Ragnick's Schalke. So yeah, it's been a long time coming and one I'm looking forward to. In terms of expectations going into this season, again, I'm hopeful that Hearts will kind of consolidate in third. I know Joe Savage had said that his personal ambition is to win the league. And listen, I would agree. When I think he said in another interview, what was that? Hearts one other day actually. This is my story where he said, you speak to a team in League One in England, like speak to Portsmouth or speak to MK Dons, you ask them what's their ambition, they go, Premier League, we want to get in there. And people go, yeah, it's good ambition, it's good to show that, but they've got to get past 24 teams in League One, 24 teams in the Championship, and then get in there, which is nigh impossible. Whereas Joe Savage is saying, I would like us to kind of win the league, win the title. He's asking to go up 2 places. You know what I mean? And that gets derided, and people saying you're deluded and blah blah blah. But listen, you've got to show ambition, and one of the things that will help get Hearts close a gap between Hearts and Celtic and Rangers is by playing European group stage football and getting more revenue, getting more income from that. So definitely something which again I think anyone should have that ambition. But in terms of the game on Sunday, it's what I'm looking forward to. I know a few Hibs fans as well, our own Craig Leach included. he's quite optimistic going into that as well. And listen, I've been alive long enough to know when Hibs are confident going into the Edinburgh Derby, it's always a good sign, because we had that at the last league derby of the season where Hibs needed to win to get in the top six, and ahead of the semi-final. They lost that ultimately. Hearts guaranteed group stage football in Europe. And then after that, it was they're confident going into the semi-final because pressure's off and expectations on Hearts now. Again, what happened there? Hearts won 2-1. So yeah, I'm quite confident going into this. I think in terms of from what I've seen from Hearts, from what I've seen from Hibs as well, in terms of their Premier Sports Cup action as well, wasn't as gay as it could be. Obviously they're out, which is for a Hearts fan very pleasing. But I'm intrigued as to what will come up. I think looking at Hibs, if I'm being fair, they've made a couple of good signings as well. I like the look of the Croatian left back, Cabrera, I think his name is. Yeah, he looks quite good. He's in terms of Josh Doig, I think even though Josh Doig's away and they made millions of pounds from him, I think Cabrera on from initial showing, from reports I've heard, could be an upgrade actually in Josh Doig. Although very lucky not to be red carded at the weekend. I would caveat that, because if you send off St Johnstone's Murray Davidson, you've got to send off Cabrera, because I think it was actually worse. But that being said, I think he could be the main danger man, as well. In terms of Rocky Bushiri, Rocky is looking like a good player for Hibs, which again, going into the Edinburgh Derby as well, it gives me a bit of confidence as well, because I know that's where he's kind of struggled in previous derbies as well, looked a bit shaky. But I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I think it's a big game for Lee Johnson early on in this Hibs tenure. I'll put that immediately out there because he's had a shaky start to his Hibs tenure. He's obviously been in the media for the wrong reasons, and when I say that, I mean saying the wrong things in the media, such as the points, the situation of Rocky Bushiri after the Morton game. I think it's a big game for Lee Johnson early on in his Hibs tenure. If he doesn't get off to a good start either on Sunday or indeed in terms of the season for Hibs fans will be quick to put pressure on Lee Johnson. And I think Lee Johnson getting a victory early on in his Hibs tenure would be massive. From a Hearts perspective, Robbie Nielsen had a better record in the Edinburgh Derbies last season, and that deserves to be applauded, because that was one Achilles heel from Robbie Nielsen's point of view, but he's bounced back in spectacular style with that, especially beating Hibs at Hampden in the way they did last season, which was pretty good going. I mean, Hearts will be favourites heading into this game, but I actually was at the bookies today, and bet sensibly, I may add if you put on any bets this weekend. I think Hearts were 38 to go win the game on Sunday, which just goes to show you what people are thinking about this and how closely anticipated this game is going to be on Sunday. I think it'll be a spectacular occasion. A lot of the Edinburgh derbies last season, well, the two in September and January respectively, last season finished 0-0 respectively. Yeah, it was a better game in that Scottish Cup semi-final, not just because Hearts won from your perspective, Greg, but also there was a lot more goals and a lot more talking points in that game than there was in the opening two games of that specific season. So I hope it's a phenomenal occasion on Sunday for both sides. And here's hoping there's some goals and some mouth-watering action on Sunday. Just a pity it's 2022, Greg, and it's not like 2006 where you've got Big Paul Hartley kicking players' legs, or Stephen Presley being the lion that he is, or Craig Gordon delivering the saves.
Or Dangerfield running into Craig Gordon.
Not correct.
Yeah, that aggression as well. No, listen, I think form does go out the window in a derby as well. But it'll be an interesting spectacle as well. I think obviously Johnson, although he's an ex-Hearts player, he's only 5 or 6 games as Jamie McAllister as well, who again, I think is a bit dubious in terms of the signing of his 16-year-old son from Bristol City for a 6-figure fee. I think it's an interesting one, albeit I believe Newcastle United were credited with an interest, but I think there'll be one of these sides that are going to be credited with everyone as well. I think I've seen Newcastle after East Fife's goalkeeper. You know what I mean? It's one of those. Newcastle have got millions of pounds after everyone, but Yeah, I'll be interested to see how it goes. And as I said, from a Hearts perspective, I'm hoping that it's another win, and again adds another wee nail into the already looking like it could be the new CV for Lee Johnson come the end of the season, looking for a new job.
Absolutely. Right, thanks very much to everybody for joining in. Thanks very much from me, Dave Smith, and Greg Playfair. Hopefully we're going to be back on. I think the plan is 3 times a week, or if not, on the minimum once a week. But we're delighted to be back, and we'll keep you updated as and when we're back. But from me and Greg, thanks very much, and we'll catch up with you very soon.